So let's jump right in with, just a softball here, Ashley.
Yes, let's ease into it.
You talk about financial adulting, and we're curious, what is that and how is it unique to what we're used to hearing about money?
So I would define, I think financial adulting, you might think of someone who knows everything, who never makes any mistakes, but that is not the case. I make mistakes. I'm still learning all the time. So to be a financial adult, I have put it into like 4 different criteria. The first is a financial adult takes small, consistent steps in their money life, because there can be a tendency, like if you think about a New Year's resolution, to overhaul your finances in one day or something, or spend a weekend and just change who you are around money. But that kind of sets us up for failure. And these small, consistent, it's tricky to say, small, consistent steps lead to big results and make it more likely that we'll stick with it and continue on. So that's a big one. A financial adult knows what's happening with their money, which might sound simple, but it's actually profound to know what's coming in, what am I spending, what's going to my goals, what are those goals? And that ties into the third piece of financial adulting, is having plans that you're confident in. And I've heard from people that they feel confident in their plan, but they don't know the numbers down to the cent or the T. They're not exactly sure. And so I wouldn't say confidence means that you know exactly how much you need to save for retirement, but that you feel like you have a general guideline, you check in on it every year. So having that confidence in your plan, and that you'll be able to check it and revise as you get closer. And then the final piece of financial adulting is just to understand our privilege and understand the context of equity and money, so that if we do have financial privilege, we use that to help close the racial and gender wealth gaps. And if we're coming from a place of oppression, we understand that and know that the system wasn't made for us, to have some compassion for ourselves and to not compare ourselves with others. So I would say those are the 4 components of financial adulting.
That's amazing. I feel like so often when we use this word adulting, it comes with this connotation of like, I don't want to. I adulted today, but it's always related to something like really boring or like an obligation. But everything that you've described feels like I want that. That doesn't sound scary. It sounds like something that I want to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're seeing from people? Like, stepping into adulthood and like embracing it, or are you identifying barriers for people? What do you see overall with this concept?
Growing up, I thought there was a time where you just felt like an adult. And I realized that you never actually feel like an adult. So I do think breaking down that it is not where you're, I'm all of a sudden this adult with money, that it's just about showing up, learning from our mistakes, learning from the things we do right, celebrating, like we're all kind of in this together. And we're many of us are starting from a place where we haven't learned about it. We can't talk about it. We just have so much working against us when it comes to personal finance. And so I think, there's also an idea that adulting is an age, and these concepts and taking these steps applies to really any age. And depending on our life and privilege and what we've experienced, we might start financial adulting much later in life. A lot of times we're not doing it right when we graduate college or get our first job. But I think that also is associated with adulting.
I love that you're also not highlighting that it's an arrival point. It's this process. And I think sometimes that goes along with that word of being an adult, adulting, like what you said. I would imagine I would have arrived at some point. All of a sudden a flip switches and I feel like an adult and I don't do the silly things I used to do anymore. But you're kind of flipping the script for how we would define it, that it's just it's this process. It's step by step. It's knowing ourselves, our context, others, the ways in which we're responsible for our life circumstances and the ways in which we're not. Things have happened to us. So much to dig into. You've made it sound really simple, but obviously like each of those steps have so much to it.
Yeah. I also love that it's about confidence and small steps. Like, I don't keep a meticulous budget, like our listeners will know that. But I am confident in the fact that I'm saving and maxing out my Roth IRA. I'm saving for my goals and all of that. And so not doing it like a stereotypical personal finance nerd, and knowing you can still financially adult even if that's not who you are. I love that you pointed that out. I think that's a really unique perspective that we don't hear as often as we should.
Thank you. And I think there's no arrival point is kind of like a sum up in life for our finances, for our goals, for our careers. And also too, to your point that there's not one right way to do it. There's like a million ways, and it's really about what works for you and knowing yourself and what keeps you motivated and keeps you taking those steps and feeling confident.
Absolutely.